Thank you for staying with us on Breakfast Weekend on Impact Africa Television, IATV. Now, moving to the third segment, where we want to be talking about something that has been going on for about 27, 26, some days now. We have only about 3 days, anyway, to the end of Ramadan. And Islamic faithful worldwide have been, observing this very, very important tradition, this very important spiritual observation. Now, many people go into it with different mindsets. Many people go into it with different, they normally call it aniyo. Now, we'll be looking at some of these mindsets and how after Ramadan, what changes? What is it going to be? Is that lifestyle going to be retained? Or before Ramadan started, that status quo is, recalled back? And who better to have this with us this morning than the founder and spiritual head of Shafauddin in Islam worldwide. I'm talking about Professor Sabit Ariyo Olagoki. JP, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
It's good to have you with us this morning.
Thank you very
much. So, Ramadan, it's only just a few days to go now. What do you think should be at the back of the mind of the Muslim?
What should be at the back of the Muslims now is after Ramadan, what next? Expectations of God and expectations of the society. So if we are conscious of that, when you look at the structure of Ramadan, it's broken into 3. The first 10 days is on realizing that it's through the mercy of God that you are able to enter to participate. Because participation is not just about money, it's about even the sound health, which your money cannot even provide, except God. It's the first 10 days, that of mercy from God. Mercy for you, if you are to reciprocate it, you do the needful in that 10 days. The second one is that of forgiveness. So if the prerequisite of the first 10 days is really fulfilled, then you are qualified to walk towards God forgiving you. Like when you have it in Quran 8 verse 29, in tatakullaha, if you fear God accordingly, God now says that one, He will make you also as a person that will be able to do things aright and is ready to ensure that no calamities befalls you, and that He will be given that elements of forgiveness. That is the dividend of being having been able to really perform as expected from you. But though the exercise of abstaining from food and taking food during the day, breaking during the iftar and during the sahur, you take it, it's just a segment, it's just a part of the fasting. The most important part is the tafsir. You're listening to sermon, you're listening to all those teachings that will be able to reform you in order that you become an article of light and be able to transform your surrounding, your society. So that is the essence.
So it's not just about you fasting, it's about, in fact, what you also transmit to the society while you're fasting.
Because when you are born into this life, the essence is not about self. The essence is about the impact we are going to make in society on others. So the Ramadan is giving you that opportunity. That last 10 days represent that of an inspirational reform.
Okay.
Because the goal of Ramadan is for you to be able to have body preservations from sins permanently now.
Okay.
And to have soul purification from evil thoughts.
Okay.
So that you rely solely on God. Like in Quran 2 verse 208, it says, وَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا خُطُوَاتِ الشَّيْطَانِ إِنَّهُ لَكُمْ عَدُوٌّ مُبِينٌ. It says that, O ye who have been struggling in the on the path of in the path of God, that strive to completely plunge yourself into the ocean of Islam, and never allow distractions of Satan. Never have anything to do with it, because it's an avowed enemy, right from that of Adam unto you and to the generation that are coming. So that, when you look at that statement, it's very, very broad. So, which means an adherence needs some teachers that we put in, just like we go to school. The lecturer comes around and put you around. Not just one now. The subject may be 8, maybe 30. Look at the number of lecturers that will come to work on you in order that you become wholesome. You become a kind of quality graduate. So when those perceive Ramadan period as a school of training the trainers now, as well as training others. So that is a school. Look at it as a school. And when you talk of a school has a kind of procedural method. For example, hearing is an unconscious act. You have to develop it. That is for information gathering. Even when it doesn't concern you, you must know something about what is happening around you. So, second, listening. That is when you attract concentration from your listeners. So, the third one is believing in what you are really being taught. And then walk the talk. So, if we are able to follow it, there is in education what we call behavioral objectives. So, what are the expected outcome after the exercise? One, all these properties, there are 4, must really manifest in you.
So you're not just a do as I say.
Not do as I say. You are learning.
You
are learning. So the first thing is that of positive self-image. Because you are talking of mindset.
Sure.
Positive self-image, whereby you look at yourself as very relevant. Even if you are people with disabilities, see yourself as being relevant in society. So you have to really work on yourself and really increase your capacity to be able to fit in. If you are a giant, if you are a dwarf, you are still relevant in the scheme of things.
Sure.
So when you look at yourself, don't downgrade yourself. Don't look at yourself as being irrelevant or poor. That is part of self-actualization. That is number 1. Number 2 is that you build confidence. You build confidence during Ramadan. You have been able to weather the storm of hunger. You have been able to wake up against all odds, to observe what God's... So which means, after Ramadan, you must be able now to really face any challenge. That's an implication of that. The third one is that of integrity, self-esteem. And that is what society needs most.
At this time.
Society needs somebody that will not be dangerous, harmful, somebody that will be constructive and impactful. So that is the kind of outcome we want. The fourth one is positive mental attitude. For ease of relocation, whereby you don't cast your weakness, cast your whatever befalls you on people. Somebody is because he hates me. Like I always tell people, when you are a subordinate, you can be lucky to have a parent of a boss that will continue to tell you, how's your child, how's your this, how's that. And you can be, it's still a fortunate thing to have somebody who doesn't care. And even he's not even ready to praise you when you do.
How is that fortunate though?
It's fortunate because he's building you.
So it's about the mindset. It's how you see things. Some people see it as persecution or prosecution.
It's not persecution. I went through, before I retired, all those, I went through a lot of bosses. And by the time I form my mind, by the time I become I didn't become a boss, I became a leader. As HOD of this, as dean of this and that. I mentor people. I replicate myself. A lot of people, I put them in positions whereby they will be able to vouchsafe that I'm potentially okay to handle that particular post. So that is what we expect. But if you're a selfish leader, you even want your subordinates to even rise. So that is what we need to eschew. But even when you find yourself under such people, you find yourself lucky because you are going to learn through hard way. And I'm telling you, become more wholesome than any other person that goes through straight path. So these are the kind of things that we are supposed to learn during the Ramadan. But unfortunately, the problem is that of the leaders, the clerics.
The ones who are supposed to teach?
The approach they are using to teach, they teach without considering audience.
How so? For
example, I may have marriage problem. One will have a custody of the child problem. One will have a problem at work. One will have this and that. And I'm talking of Moses did this. He went through the sea in Kanka. That's not what I want now. So you have to, contemporary issues
should be discussed.
Because contemporary issues makes you to have that ability to translate the theoretical lessons in the scripture into a practical or real life situation. Because the essence of all this, I want to become a Christian, I want to become a Muslim, is for you to be able now to justly go about things with fear of God, to go through the path of excellence. That is the essence of everything we are learning. So if the leaders now have their honors, not just because I'm well read or I'm fluent in Arabic, no. The subject matter, what concerns the man, what the society wants, how do we infuse it into that person we call adherents? That is the essence of tafsir. Even the essence of sermon. You must consider wholesomely the audience, the Christians, the Muslims, the traditional, and not there is a stage, there's somewhere in the Quran 6 verse 108. It says, never abuse what they are worshipping beside God. Because in reaction, they will go to any extent to abuse your own God. But it is God that has given everybody that liberty to appreciate whatever he appreciates, whatever he worships or he appreciates.
No,
so with that now, it means when you are teaching, there must not be hate speech. You must not abuse personalities. You must be issue-driven when you are teaching. And it must touch the lives of the people, because the essence is to reform them so they become more relevant and useful to themselves and society.
Now, let's look at how perception would work. Even as an average Muslim, okay, you're going to the tafsir to learn one or two things. What about the place of using one's own mind to also, for example, the person is talking about Moses, you know, where is the place of perception to know, okay, this is for me? It may not exactly be in clear terms. It may not be exactly discussing contemporary issues, but even when they are using all these other symbolisms, the place of perception by the Muslim listening, where would you rate it, and where do you think it needs to be?
You need to, the place of perceptions matters because inference is what matters. We may be listening to the same news. You draw inferences as it relates to you.
Yeah.
So that is it. That's when you talk about pedagogy. When you say somebody is an authority, it means the way you will go about it. In fact, pedagogy without the inspirational energy of God is empty.
I know some people, after Ramadan, they fast as a way to maybe obtain extra favors. Are there ways people can extend the benefits of Ramadan beyond that period? Or is it even possible?
It is compulsory. When you go to schools, you spend 4 years or 5 years. Whatever you learn there now, expectedly, except you want to go into the class of researchers, when you want to become PhD, when you want to have a professoriate or something, when you go to college, what you learn is how to become a career person. And when you come to become a career person, you must learn from the woman in the kitchen. The woman in the kitchen must have learned how to do the administration of the kitchen through formal, informal, and non-formal approach. So by intuition now, by the time you become an authority in the house, by intuition you'll be cooking. You don't look into the book of cookery and say,
how many spoons for?
You don't do that. By intuition, the same thing. What we learn in the classrooms for 4 or 5 years, you now use it by intuition to deal with the real practical and life situation. The same thing now, what we learn in the church, what we learn in the mosque, or what we learn in any faith-based organizations, they are meant to really improve the quality and standard of the society. So by the time you get into the society now, by intuition, we want the best out of it. Like all those 4 things we say. When you have positive mental attitude, you could see that you look more inward to improve upon your weaknesses, rather than saying somebody
it is somebody who is responsible.
Is responsible. So if you are able to live such a life, you will have tranquility of the mind, because immediately you'll be solving your problem by yourself. These are the owners of teaching, most especially religious teachings. We want the religious teachers to teach and adherents to learn, so that by the time they come into the society, for example, let us look at one scenario. When you look at people in the MDA, people in government, people in the marketplace, in private, some of those, each one of us has one church or mosque, or any other faith-based organization we attend.
Sure.
So which means we are closer to the cleric there. So what is expected is that you use the text, the scripture. Well, like when you go to Quran 2 verse 185 and 2 Timothy 3:16-17, it says that all inspirational book believed to have come from God must have the benefit of teaching, admonition, putting you onto the right path of righteousness. That we are learning this because of the challenges of tomorrow. You could see now. So by the time you are well groomed in your church, you are well groomed in your mosque, you will not be a dangerous person into the society, and you will be able now to go through the ethics of management, ethics of administration. Transparency, accountability will not be your problem, because you must have learned all those things. You work about Rojali, don't do this, don't do this. This is the essence. So what we want, when you look at our society, you will agree with me that the churches, the mosques, and other faith-based organizations have done little. That is why we are having all these records of fraudulent practices when it comes to the secular or the real life situation. So if we are well groomed, there is no way you can get into office without being people-oriented. You think of the people, you think about service, rather than, this is an opportunity to gather money. This is an opportunity to accumulate wealth. Funds. Well, you could see. So churches, mosques, and we have to challenge them. Let them do the right thing. Let them do the needful. Let them use the scripture. Because a cleric is supposed to be able to produce or replicate himself 100-folds. So that many of you will be so many outside, and you'll be performing all these wonders we expect in administration and management and governance too.
Well, we hope that the period of this Ramadan would have been able to, at least a sizable number of people would have changed the game this time around.
I have one challenge for us as Nigerians.
Okay, let's hear it.
That challenge is that the best emerging government is expected from this crop of people, because it is during Ramadan they are being sworn in.
True. And
the Bible, the Quran, says that when you make a promise, you must not fail.
Well, hopefully we would see how they will perform and see that they mean it.
Let us continue to pray for them.
All right, we have been talking to Professor Sabit Ariolago KJP, the founder and spiritual head of Shifauddin in Islam. Thank you so much for admonishing us this morning.
Ramadan Barak.
Ramadan Kareem. We'll take a break. Breakfast weekend returns shortly. Just stay with us.